A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to Super Coaching IAS by Testbook. In this session, we'll be discussing about why there is so much oil in the Middle East. Why the Arab countries have so much oil? What is the reason for that? Why are they having such kind of major, what do you say, the importance of the minerals which are available in that, because of which they have more geostrategic significance, right? You all have this, you all know that they have a major role to play in terms of having an impact of geostrategical things. We see how Saudi Arabia, how Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, UAE, all these Middle East countries, the Arab countries has so much amount of geostrategic significance, political clout. It is all because of the crucial mineral oil. In this video, we will discuss about those things. Why there is so much oil in the Middle East? As you can see in this picture, I hope you all can listen to my audio. It's well, video is good, you can listen it, right? So if you see in this picture, you can see here, look at the black color one. The black color one indicates about the maximum resources, proven oil reserves across the world. It is more in the Middle East countries. In fact, if you see these Middle East countries, in fact, especially these countries, as you can see this, they are almost having around 48% of oil resources across the world. 48% of oil resources. They have significant clout, right? You can see there is an organization by name Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, right? Among OPEC, you will find different countries. Say, for example, even in South America, Venezuela has more amount of oil resources, decent amount of oil. You can see here, Venezuela, all these countries had decent amount of oil, but Middle East has more oil, almost 50%, nearly 50% of the reserves of the world, right? That's what the picture says. You can see, unfortunately, in India, right, it is less amount of oil. We import more, right? You can see in the Middle East, as you can see in the pie diagram, almost 50%, 48, 49, something says 50, whatever, roughly we can say that 48%, 48, we can say that there is some amount of oil in the Middle East. And among these countries, among the top 10 countries of oil around the world, you have these particular countries in the top 5. Say example, the Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, the Kuwait, especially UAE, Iran, Iraq has decent amount of oil, even to a certain extent Egypt as well, but mostly about Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and all has very decent levels of oil. If you see, this is the Middle East countries, right? These are the countries of Arab, West Asia, whatever you call West Asia, Middle East. Technically they are West Asian countries by geographically, but historically they are called as Middle East countries because of for the Europe they are in the middle of the East. That's why they used to call them as Middle East countries. So it is from the perspective of the European countries we call them as Middle East, but by geographically they are part of the West Asian economy, West Asian countries, right? They have more amount of oil. Why? I think you all might have studied about an ancient ocean by name Tethys Sea. You might have heard about the Tethys Sea, the continental drift. When the whole world was together, we used to call them as Pangaea. It's a big land called as Pangaea, surrounded by a big ocean called Panthalassa. Pangaea and Panthalassa. Pangaea is divided into two blocks of the earth. It is divided into two blocks of the earth. The southern portions like South America, Africa, you can say at the Indian landmass, the Indian peninsula, Antarctica, Australia, all these are part of the southern landmass of Pangaea, which we call it as Gondwana. And the northern landmass of Eurasia and North Europe, Eurasia, that is the European landmass, as well as the Greenland and North America, they are part of Laurasia. These two are separated by a minor ocean which we call it as Tethys Sea before the formations of the Himalayas. You say these are all around 150 million years ago, not now, right? 100 million years ago, when the Indian peninsula was part of the southern hemisphere, where Himalayas were not yet formed, there was a big ocean by Tethys Sea. You can see here, this is the extent of the Tethys Sea. You can see Indian landmass. You see in this picture, Indian landmass is in the way south, it is slightly coming. Himalayas were not yet formed 100 million years ago. When you have the Tethys Sea, this Tethys Sea, and it is also surrounded by more amount of the mighty rivers, they are bringing all their sediments, and you all know that the ocean will be having sediments like you have variety of microorganisms, marine organisms, algae, phytoplanktons, all these kind of things which used to be located here, algae, phytoplankton, okay, all these microscopic organisms, they used to have deep amount of things, and one of the thing about this phytoplanktons is they produce mass in number and they reproduce very quickly and they die very quickly as well. 30-40 days they die very quickly. So because of this, all this small dead organic matter started accumulating on the ground level, accumulated at the ground level, and layers of accumulation of all these microscopic organisms have accumulated, which led to the development of the fossils. This is the first thing you need to understand, okay, how the fossils were developed. And these fossils, as they have developed, right, so then over a period of time, usually when you see it, the fossil fuels of the world, the coal is mostly developed on the land. As you can see on the land mass, millions of years of accumulation of the dead organic matter which will convert into the coal. Whereas when you talk about the oil, mostly, not necessarily, but most of the time, you will find that marine organisms, millions of years of accumulation will lead to development of oil in the ocean. This is the base. Then when you talk about these millions of years development of oil, you will see that how does the oil develops? The first thing you have to talk about is the Tethys Sea, the development of organisms. Then you might ask me about this question, why it is more available here? You see here, why it is only available here, why not in other portions? In the distribution of oceans and continent, a significant portion of Tethys Sea was occupied with the present Arab countries. The land is occupying in the present Arab countries as the continents were moving as part of the drifting as well. The geological history says that this region, the Tethys Sea, was the region where the significant amount of land which is there in the Middle East right now is part of the ancient Tethys Sea sediments. That is the linkage. So the first key thing about any oil is what? Its geological history. This is the main, the core, the crux, geological history. There is a saying in geomorphology, okay, the present is key to the past. Present is key to the past. Whatever the present things are there, whatever the geological processes which occur now were the same where the geological process happened in the past, and that led to the development. So the present has helped in decent understanding about the past as well. So that we can say about it. The geological history, any region, if you have more minerals, it tells about the geological history. That is a very, very important chapter in terms of mineral resources of the world, not just oil. For example, if you find certain regions having a variety of the minerals like iron ore, coal, the reason is the geological past. You can say that it is the geological past which will determine the mineral resources of a country. okay, geological past. Okay, and this land of the Tethys Sea was later on, because of the distribution of how the plates have moved, drifted, more land was found here. That is the reason why more oil was developed. Even to a certain extent in the Indian landmass here, if you talk about the regions of what you say, the regions of Rajasthan, you have decent amount of some amount of oil resources in Rajasthan attributed to the same Tethys Sea. Yes, there were some proven oil reserves in the Bamar district of Rajasthan. You can see in the on the western corner of Rajasthan, along to the you will find that decent amount of oil is available, right? So this is the thing. The first thing you remember, how oil is developed, geological history. This geological history about oil has indicating that there is about more watery past. I can say that more watery past. Watery past. You can talk about the road. You can talk about, sir, you might ask me one thing, sir, this is a region of desert, no? How you have watery past? Yes, it was a desert now, but not perhaps back then. It was covered by decent amount of organic matter. Also, you will find that these things, as the continents were drifting, then it was not yet the present desert was not yet developed. So you can see that the desert was only the upper layer which you are seeing, but that is not key to the past. It is not the base. The underneath things are the ones which are key to the past. That's why it is geological history, not the geographical location history here. Okay, that is the key thing. So there is so much amount of water. The second thing, you will try to understand by the end of things. And remember one thing, as part of the geological history, it is part of the ancient Tethys Sea, whereas it has so much amount of marine organisms, and even the rivers which are bringing water and the sediments to it are also decently bringing about so much amount of marine organisms. So the rivers to the marine Tethys Sea as well. That is number one. Number two, you can move forward. As you can see about the marine organisms which will convert into the fossils, which will slowly trap into the natural oil gas. How? The first thing, the second thing you need to understand, it is the tectonic plates, the tectonic activity. The tectonic plates, if you see in the Middle East, it is part of the many plates. For example, the Saudi Arabian plate, as you can see here, it is surrounded by African plate, the Somali plate, the Indian plate, Eurasian plate, and also the Anatolian plate of Turkey, that is Turkey, or which we pronounce it as Turkey in general, right? So you find that there is so much amount of, what you can say, there is so much amount of plates which you can identify here, the tectonic plates. These tectonic plates, what they have done? They have, what do you say, they have helped in movement of the land, and also there was so much amount of tectonic movement, horizontal and vertical movements, because of the movement of the plates and all, which led to development of certain kinds of what we call them as reservoir, structural reservoirs. As you can see, as the blocks of the crust will go up and down because of certain things, there will be some kind of what we call them as structural traps. So in geology, we call them as what? Structural traps. So there are something called as, we will discuss about this, a concept called as anticline, okay. Anticline and fault traps. Fault traps. Array, what happened? Okay, as you can see here, yeah. So what is it? Anticlines and fault traps. See this picture. This is the anticline trap. This is the fault traps. So as the crust goes up and down, a portion of the rocks, the source rocks, will have another thing called as the source rocks. Source rocks are nothing but the sediments which are permeable in nature. okay, the porous and the permeable rocks which will block the fossils, right? As the fossils are blocked, then when there is a kind of crustal movement, when you see that tectonic movement, you will see development of these two, the fault traps and the anticline traps. It is nothing but the earth is moving, the dead organic matter is trapped at certain specific places. Those specific places we call them as anticlines and faults. For a while, don't ask what are they, simply understand that. Remember, synclines and synclines and anticlines, just like a wave, up and down, crust and the trough, you will see that the upper portions we will call them as anticlines. So, anything a rock develops like this, something like an arc like structure in the underneath of the earth's surface because of the forces of the earth, we call them as anticlines. And fault is nothing but a, you can know that fault is nothing but a something like a geological movement underneath the earth's surface where there is a some kind of a weakness. So, a fault is nothing but a weakness of the earth's crust wherein which you will find some kind of movement along a plane. This is the fault plane where you will find some fault traps. So, whatever the permeable rocks, through the permeable rocks and the fault traps, the dead organic matter traps here. What is the thing you need to understand? The dead organic matter gets trapped. Because of this trapping, you will find that these will be the areas of oil. These will be the areas of oil exploration. For example, the oil resources, you can see those areas as part of the mapping of the ocean floor, mapping of the proven resources, the geological resources we have in India, Geological Survey of India, GSI. Similarly, the geological surveys which are carried out across the world, they will be identifying such kind of anticline traps and fault traps, and those will be the usually the proven resources. For example, some of the biggest oil resources in Saudi and as well as Kuwait, okay, they are part of this kind of anticlines and fault traps. These are the reasons which led to the development of huge oil resources in the Middle East. I hope you are able to follow. What is the order you have? The first thing you need to understand, it is part of the ancient Tethys Sea. This is the source of organic matter. These organic matter got accumulated as dead organic matter because of the permeable nature of the rocks. Because of the permeable rocks. These permeable rocks, as they are moving, the tectonic movement led to development of what? Structural traps. These structural traps are the ones where you find more oil. That is the key thing. See, whenever you are learning about any kind of mineral, what should be your approach of preparation? For example, when you talk about minerals, your approach of preparation has to be has per two concepts. One, the distribution. As I told you, geography is all about where are they located. Is it about only where? Not just where, but also why are they located. So, that is how are they formed. So, how are the mineral resources are formed. In this session, I am focusing on how are they formed more. This is my focus area of study in this session, right? Not just the places. Places and all, that is dumping of facts. This is a conceptual thing which I would like to introduce to you. That is what my approach was. I hope you have understood this. Whenever you are talking about minerals, you have to focus on these kind of things. Of late, because of the presence of more economic concepts in our part of the world, when you see that in the last few years, the government is focusing on more infrastructure, and for that you need more amount of minerals. Because of all these kind of things, the economic mineral geography, especially economic mineral geography, is very much in use, especially with respect to the changing of the events across the world, India, China and all these places. You will find that the next 10-15 years, India has a huge potential in terms of increasing our position in the world. And that is why there is more focus on the minerals which will be having significant geostrategic significance. That is why you are concentrating on these things. And even UPSC as well is asking about a decent number of mineral resources which are very crucial, significant in the recent era. For example, in the year 2023, they asked about questions about, say, cobalt. They asked about questions of, say, mostly about cobalt. When you talk about the EV industry, there are two important minerals, lithium and cobalt, which is a present base of electronic things, right? Sorry, electric vehicles, electric vehicles, not electronica, electric. So, when the whole world, when the entire newspapers were focusing more on lithium, another important mineral which is also of crucial importance in terms of the EV segment is cobalt, where there were one or two questions indirectly asked about cobalt in the 2023 prelims paper. This is where the key lies. This is how the science. There are always signs which you need to see it from the newspaper. Read between the lines. Between the lines. What are the connecting dots? Those are the things which you have to identify, right? So, if you read between the, when you start getting this reading between the lines, you will understand where the examiner will probably ask a question. There you will be start developing in that way. That should be your approach. So, of late, there is significant focus on minerals, infrastructure and all. That is the reason why this topic is very, very much in news. You should not be missing the both the aspects. Where are they found and also how are they developed? I have given a new thing. So, maybe they asked a question about cobalt distribution, which part? For example, lithium, you have a lithium, Argentina, Bolivia lithium triangle, you have that is there. And even because of the availability of minerals, the need for minerals and all, there is also a concept called deep sea mining. Have you heard about this? Deep sea mining, polymetallic nodules, there is so much talk about that. That is the thing which you need to study. That is the thing which we need to understand. So, there is also a focus about deep sea minerals. India also has some kind of a mission to it. Can you name that mission? Put it in the comment section. I would check that, whoever is commenting. If you are giving a wrong answer, I would anyhow provide the right answer. Try to put the what is the mission we have about the deep sea mission. What is the mission called as about the deep sea mining? Answer it in the comment section, right? So, this is the base of our chapter. Moving forward, what I would like to tell you is, if you talk about the mineral development across the world, there are many type of minerals. Metallic minerals, iron, manganese, nickel, that is where they find the ferrous content as part of the metallic. So, you can divide the whole minerals into two parts, mineral component of metals and non-metallic minerals, and a special significance minerals, we also have something called as energy minerals. There is the base of energy. The energy minerals like coal, petroleum, natural gas, where you have discussed about now the fossil fuels, the crude oil, petroleum. We have spoken about crude oil no today. In fact, everything is whatever the oil and all we get extracted from the crude oil, right? So, it is the crude oil which we get it from the interior of the earth. These are all the base of the energy. The energy minerals, on one side, these energy minerals are very, very crucial. On another side, because they are non-renewable in nature, because they will be, they will be exhausted over a period of time. you are now focusing on the renewable energy. So there is a shift towards renewable energy, and at the same time there is so much amount of focus about whatever the existing energy minerals. Okay, I think the color is matching here, not matching here, so maybe we'll change that. So if you see the remaining things, the metallic things, the ferrous and the non-ferrous, iron, manganese, nickel, iron content, especially iron ore availability. For so many years, the base of any industry, the core industry of any region happens to be the iron ore industry, iron and steel industry. It is regarded as a basic industry. It all depends on availability of the ore of the iron. If you see the 19th century, there is so much talk about availability of coal. When you talk about say 1800 to 1900, it is the availability of coal which has determined. Then for some years iron ore, and post 1970s it is the oil which is determining about the energy minerals, about the success of the world. So every mineral has so much amount of geostrategic significance. They will also identify which countries, because of their availability, will be having a future. And nowadays we are not just talking about the basic minerals, we are also talking about the knowledge setting. So knowledge is a resource, not just a mineral. So this year happens to be the knowledge which happens to be as a major resource. That is the thing which will control, because technology will be controlling it. But having said that technology is controlling, there is significant role for the play of minerals. So you have to talk about these minerals, these kind of things. For example, metallic minerals like iron, non-iron metals, for example, copper, lead, tin, bauxite. Okay, you can talk about these things. Presently in India, you have found lithium is, there were some proven reserves as per a surveys which says that we are finding in Rajasthan as well as Kashmir. You can talk about that. You can talk about the precious minerals like gold, silver, platinum. They are also having some role to play, and some non-metallic minerals, say sandstone, potash, mica, salt, limestone, marble. For example, if there is so much talk about agriculture revolution, imagine tomorrow you talk about agriculture revolution, you need pesticides. Then how do you develop the pesticides? What are the minerals which are needed for it? How are you getting those kind of things? All these kind of things are very, very important. So you have to read the current affairs. You have to understand the links between the current affairs. Try to get to the knowledge about the mineral resources. So the whole objective of study has to be a mix of both. What are they? Distribution as well as how are they formed. So certain most of the things, how the magma layer is having a role to play. For example, how is that magma is trying to develop about the mineral resources of the country. For example, in India, Chotanagpur Plateau happens to be around a base of so many kind of minerals. Iron ore, coal, all these things are decently available. Why are they available? Try to ask. If you study that, you can connect that with the geological history. So my core aspect of this today's session, you have to handle it from this point of view, that the geological history of any region will have a base with respect to the mineral resources. This is the key thing. So if you study about the rocks, igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks, sedimentary rocks, you can see the geological history. Okay, it is the organic material which got metamorphized here when you talk about minerals. So you can talk about that. Geological history, the mineral resources, mostly because of heat and pressure. Of course, it is not metamorphized completely. You can say the dead organic matter, the sedimentary rocks which are at the base. So when you have sedimentary rocks, you will have fossils. So geological history, when you talk about rocks, sediments, when you talk about the sedimentary rocks, you will have the fossils. That is the base you have studied. So when you talk about geology of a region, you can also understand the mineral development very closely. They are very, very close to each other. That is the key thing. Hope you are able to follow. So always understand that. So study from the concepts in this way, and then you can focus based on the key current affairs and all. You can focus about distribution of key minerals. Key minerals. This is about the reasons why there is so much oil in the Middle East. Hope you have liked this video. If you have liked this video, if you have understood, if you have improved your knowledge because of this session, don't stop doing there. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, because this liking this video will help us to do around such kind of videos more. And also don't hesitate to share it to your friends, because just like you have, sharing is caring, knowledge sharing is very important in the present era. So with this thing, share what you care and what you care for. Care with share this video to the people who you care, where their knowledge can be improved. That's about this. Thank you for watching. Thank you.